Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today. And today I'm just going to briefly take a look at the new Dockyard event. So this is a Dockyard event for the building of the Admiral Graf Spee and the Odin. So this is obviously the second time we've had a Dockyard event. The first time we had it was the whole Puerto Rico fiasco. An absolute disaster of an event. Now, of course, obviously, Wargaming, I think with Puerto Rico, did manage to probably make enough money to satisfy them. But yeah, I mean, overall, my impression of that event was just a mess. So let's take a look to see if anything has changed with the new German event. So of course, first of all, it's a new dockyard. This is the Hamburg dockyard, and that's kind of nice. You're going to have two ships, sort of like the way that the Puerto Rico event was, where you had a construction for an Italian cruiser, and then of course the Puerto Rico. So how it's going to work is, let's take a look. Dockyard rules have been simplified. Okay, so ship construction of the dockyard will consist of 20 construction levels. So you can advance through these by completing directives or spending doubloons. So of course we're going to have to take a look at directives because that's very, very important. The reward is Admiral Graf Spee in the parade camouflage. Okay, so that's probably this ship right here. And you get this when you get to construction level 10. Okay, so you can reach only a maximum of 18 out of 20 levels by completing directives. Okay, so that means you absolutely have to spend doubloons if you want to get the final ship, which is Odin. Levels 19 and 20 are reachable only by spending doubloons, and the price of one level is 1750. So basically you got to spend 3,500 doubloons for the final tier 8 ship. Okay, so the one difference here is that the Puerto Rico, while an insane grind, was completely doable for free. So with Odin, that is no longer the case. You absolutely have to spend money. You have to spend about 3,500 doubloons. Okay. I think this also explains why Odin was so heavily nerfed during its development. And honestly, I think this might have just been I think it's contributing. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's contributing to Wargaming's reputation of not liking German ships, because they've done this twice now with German ships that they're giving away to make them quite a bit worse than what you'd expect them to be. The previous example was Prince Eitel Friedrich, which initially during testing was actually quite a fun ship, not, you know, super amazing, but fun because she had that speed going for her. Her guns were kind of small, so it required good position and everything. And then of course they hammered that ship, and then like Prince Eitel Friedrich is just terrible. And so I think something similar is happening here. They were just pretty much going to turn this into a ship that is very low cost, you know, for premium tier 8. So they kind of hammered her in terms of her qualities. That last HP nerf to her was just painful. So I think that's what they're going for here. Honestly, I think they really should have done something else. Maybe they really should have done something like California, which is another ship that has been kind of hammered, but it would have been kind of cool for California to have gone through her initial build phase, possibly. So maybe like initial build phase here, and then out here maybe they did like some sort of, or maybe, I don't know, there's a retrofit there, because, you know, California did go through a retrofit to give her those ultra wide kind of areas that made her super thick in game. But that would have been kind of cool to see. And then maybe that would have kind of shifted away from the whole German ships can never be good, and, you know, maybe we just kind of change the narrative a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's another time with German ships, so yeah, I think that might have been better to maybe do something else there. Okay, so directives will be available during updates 0.95 and 0.96. Okay, so they'll become available with 9.5. So you basically have 2 patch cycles worth, so approximately 2 months worth of time. And so that's probably better than what we had with Puerto Rico as well. There's more time to do it. So let's take a look at the directives, because that I think is important. There is one other thing I gotta say before we get into the actual directives, is there is an initial way of just straight up buying the Odin. It's an absolutely ludicrous 35,000 doubloons for a garbage tier 8. So how that number came about is just insane. Like I just can't understand how they sat down and said, yeah, you know what? We'll just price point it at 35,000 doubloons. Like it almost feels like that kind of price point is forcing people to go through the directives and forcing them to play the Dockyard event. Okay? And this is where another one of those moments for me kind of came around. I just could not explain to myself why that number was really there except for that one purpose, to force people to play the event. And by forcing people to play the event, I think they're trying to bank on the sunk cost fallacy. People are going to go through the directives, which initially look quite easy, as you'll see, and then there's going to be a couple things maybe they can't do, and then at the end, Wargaming is going to get what they want cost-wise out from the majority of people who play this. Where with normal premium ships, people either buy or they don't buy. Where this one, I think, they're going to engineer a means for getting people to give them money. The other thing, of course, is the reason why we're kind of in this state is because fundamentally I don't trust Wargaming anymore to do things for in the past, like a long time ago when they made decisions, you kind of said, okay, we get it, you're a business, you're trying to make money, but it wasn't at a point of predation. It wasn't like that. There was still relative goodwill, where these days it's like every single thing they put out, my first initial reaction is, hold on a second, let me make sure that I'm not missing something, right? And with this one, it was that 35,000 initial number that made me sort of take a little breather and to go, wait a minute, something feels a little weird here, right? Because 35,000 doubloons for crappy tier 8, that's the highest number we've ever seen, right? And here's where I think the whole thing is engineered. So when you do a directive now, right, you get, if you complete 7 of the 12 missions in the directive, you get 1 level of the Dockyard. Okay, so as long as you do 7 of the 12 missions, you'll get that 1 level. There's 6 directives in total, and they all have this thing, the 7 out of 12. Okay, so you get 1 level. So that means that if you do 7 of the easier missions in the directive, you're guaranteed to get at least 6 levels of your Dockyard. Okay, so there's guaranteed to be 6 levels that you should be able to get through all the directives without any issues. Then what they've done is they've then hidden another 12 levels of the Dockyard within individual single missions inside each directive. Okay, by the way, the easy missions are as easy as, for example, like, earn 2.5 million credits over any number of games. That's not hard, right? Or, even if at the last directive, in Directive 6, which, would be the hardest one, it'll be something like, earn 320 main battery hits or secondary battery hit ribbons over any number of games. See, those are all pretty easy to do. But it's those other 12 levels, this is where I think there was a little bit of, oh, wait a minute here, right? Because these missions here, they are the ones that are grindier. Okay, now some of them are not super tough, like for example 18 destroyed ribbons over any number of games including co-op. That's not bad. Earn 30,000 base experience. Again, that's not terrible, right? Or for example, your top 2 of your team by EXP 10 times. This is more targeted towards the better players, because you have to remember that a huge proportion of the player base are not Unicum level players. They're average, below average players. They don't have an overwhelming amount of camos, flags just lying around to be used, where, I'll see something like earn 180,000 experience, and I go, yeah, that's not hard when I'm making nearly 30,000 EXP a game. That's like, not hard. Sub 10 games. But for somebody who doesn't have those excessive amount of camos or flags, asking them to earn 100,000 experience is going to take a while. Okay, it's going to take a lot of gaming and grinding and things, so on and so forth. By the way, that was part of a Directive 2 mission, right? You'll see right here. Directive 2, you want to get this level of Dockyard, you earn 180,000 total EXP. That's a lot of time investment for a lot of players, okay? They want you to put in that time because you're seeing at the end that it's going to be affordable, right? You're going to say, well, it's a tier 8 premium at the end that I'm going to get for like 3,500 doubloons. That's quite affordable. But then they've put some of these missions here, which are really going to be hard, okay? Top 3 of your team by EXP 12 times. Remember, each of these directives should take you a week to do because, you know, the final directive is going to take a little bit more time. And yeah, because directives unlock, right, in that kind of way. So, okay, so there's a couple of little bit there that I'm like, okay, you know, those are kind of hard for the average, below average player. Again, they're probably going to do this one really easily, but these two, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle, right? And they're going to invest time. It's this time investment that I think is what's going to get people at the end. So as you keep going in Directive 3, okay, all right, earn 5.2 million credits, which if you're maybe not a premium account holder, if you don't have all the econ flags, that might be a bit of a challenge. Earn 42,500 base experience. That's a time investment, right? Assuming, again, that you are playing as the average player, let's just say you're getting 1,000 base experience, which I even think that's a little high for the average player. That'll take you about 43, 44 games, maybe 50, right? Because again, you have to factor in that there are losses and everything in there. And for the average player who loses more than half of their games, this might be 60, 70 games worth of a very kind of hard grind, right? There's the one level. And so they're just making you spend time and time and time to grind. Again, they have the easy missions, which are not hard, right? But it's these couple of missions, these 12, for these individual missions, I think is going to be the problem. Okay, you know, do 1.15 million damage. Again, now this one's not that bad because you can do it in co-op, so that's okay. 71 destroyed or captured assistant capture ribbons. See, again, that's going to require investment time-wise, right, to get those 71 kills. Again, the average player, I think if I remember correctly, in random battles will average like 0.5 kills a game, you know. Some of the slightly better players will average 1. So again, you know, that combined with capture assisted, if you're not playing a destroyer, you don't really get those. So that might take you a while. So it's all time investment. Directive 5. Okay, so Directive 5. Where's these two missions here? Right here. 49,500 base experience. So this is not affected by any modifiers. Again, a whole bunch of games played here, right? And earn top 2 of your team by EXP 10 times. It's going to be challenging for the average player, average below average player, which is, again, a huge part of the player base. 64 destroyed ribbons, more time invested. So at the end, and then here we go, in final directive, mission 4 is 140,000 total EXP, so that combined with the earlier 180,000 experience, requiring the average player to grind out 320,000 total EXP. It's like that's quite a grind. It's quite a grind. 55 destroyed ribbons. Okay, so why am I talking about this? Because remember, there are the easy missions, and then there are these ones. I think it's because there's some sort of expectation that these types of missions are not going to be super feasible for a lot of the average player base. And then what's going to happen is that they're going to put time into it. They're going to make the effort to try to do this, and they're going to come to the end of the event or closer to the end of the event, and they're going to be short not the 2 Dockyard levels, but a couple of more Dockyard levels. Maybe, let's say, 4, maybe 5, maybe even 6 Dockyard levels. Because remember, at 6 Dockyard levels, the cost of the ship becomes 10,500 doubloons, which, when you think about it, that is the cost of a normal tier 8. I think this event is not as innocent as initially appears, because it's that 35,000 initial cost that made me really do a double take on this, because it just doesn't feel right. I feel like this entire thing is sort of engineered so that, you know, where the average player who isn't maybe going to do all of it is going to put in so much time that at the end they're going to be like, fine, here, take a little bit of money, right? Maybe it's only 5 levels, maybe it's 4 levels, but even at 4 levels, we're talking 7,000 doubloons in cost, which for a bad tier 8, yeah, think about that for a minute, right, folks? I think there is something not as innocent as initially appeared when it comes to this event. That's just such typical wargaming thing to do. You know, these days there is so little ability to see something they're doing and then just taking it positively. So much of what they do just makes you go, what are they trying to do right now? What is their true purpose? Because that's what it feels like so often these days with wargaming, is that whenever they come out with something, you sit there and you go, what's the real purpose? Not the thing that you're telling us, but what is underneath the real purpose. And that's a terrible feeling for me. I don't enjoy this kind of feeling. And yeah, wargaming, you gotta work on this. I really am just gonna say this. You gotta work on this because there is so little trust in you these days, that you're not helping yourselves, is all I'm gonna say right now. Um, yeah. Um, when this thing drops, make your mind up if you want to go for it or not. Odin is not a good ship, by any stretch of the imagination. So, you can just entirely ignore it or just collect these small bonuses, because remember, the bonuses are really small. 10,000 credits, one little flag. Just, I guess, play as normal is the best thing I'll say. And then just, if you can, get the 10 stages and just get a free graph spray. And that's all that matters, because the Odin is a trap. Anyways, folks, take care of yourselves. Have a good one. And I'll talk to all of you again soon.